It's time for
DodgerHeads.
high fly ball into right field. Dodgers have won it all in 2020. Shohei Ohtani, 50-50 club. Strikes him out. There's a drive. Shohei Ohtani. Freeman hits the ball. She is gone. Birthday party, Los Angeles. Your Dodgers have won the World Series.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into DodgerHeads Live, presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Medium Large Sports Network. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined tonight, as I am every Sunday night, by Anthony Witrado, here to talk about, wait for it, Anthony, the team with the tied for best record in Major League Baseball, Dodgers 53-32. Tigers tied them on Sunday Night Baseball, but 53-32, 7-game lead in the division over the Padres, 7.5 over the Giants. Anthony, happy Sunday to you, my friend.
Happy Sunday. I think it was a couple of weeks ago, in the midst of that tough stretch they had on the schedule. And I said, I thought they were going to win this division. It was one of the sky is falling nights. And so I don't remember exactly which game we were coming out of. But I said, I think this team still wins this division by like 8 games, 8 to 10. I know some people disagreed with me. It was at the time, it probably seemed like a little bolder take than I think it probably actually was. My dad listened to the show. He didn't agree. I don't think he agreed with me either. But look, this is the kind of team that like just leans on you and leans on the division. And they don't go into these huge, long slumps from a record standpoint. Like they're not going to go, they're not going to lose 14 of 20 or anything like that. And so anytime these teams that chase them have a little bit of a dip, it's really hard to be able to keep pace with the team that is so consistent the way the Dodgers are, even with the injuries and all of that stuff. With that said, and even with that prediction, it's really cool, but it is a little like jarring to see the division lead expand the way it has in just the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I was saying on social media, like the thing is this Dodgers team, the margin for error is so much greater. Like with this Dodgers team, they don't need everything to be operating at 100% efficiency in order for them to be highly successful. We're going to talk about starting pitching and how many of the top 4 to 8 starting pitchers have just not been available for this team, most, if not all of this season. And yet they have this lead, but you look up and down the division, I still think the Padres are the second best team, but you look at a team like the Giants. I was skeptical when they made the Rafael Devers trade. Like I've been skeptical of that team, and you see it start to fall apart a little bit because, again, if everything is not going perfectly for a team with that sort of lineup, then things can get messy. But for the Dodgers, they've in their last 10 series, they've lost 1. They've now won 6 consecutive series. They're 11-3 in their last 14 games. And this is a team missing half their starting rotation, Anthony. And they're still doing this with, by the way, the easiest schedule in Major League Baseball from this point forward. So you add all those factors in, and it's hard not to be supremely confident about where this team is going to be 2 or 3 months from now.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I think like they'll have a dip here and there, where they'll play 500 ball for a few weeks or something like that. They'll have a stretch like that. But that I just don't think that window is going to be totally opened for the Giants and the Padres and even the Diamondbacks to make a real serious like run at the top of the division. Yeah. I think they're putting this thing away in June. Yeah. Again, that lead might fluctuate a bit, and there might be, you got to look in your rear view mirror a little bit at some point. But I think for all intents and purposes, June is where they just ran away with this thing and put the other guys to bed.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about this Dodgers team, they're one of 2 teams in Major League Baseball right now that have a win percentage over 600. It's just them and the Tigers. And again, they're over 600. I think it's like 625 right now. So if you just play out that this Dodgers team is going to win roughly 60% of the games from here on out, excuse me, with 77 games to go. If they win 60% of those, that's 46. Let's just call it 46 games. That means the Dodgers would be going 46-31. For the Padres to pass them, the Padres would have to go 53-24. Just that's to tie them.
Just an absurd winning percentage pace.
Start doing the math. And again, it's like now, if you think the Dodgers are going to fall back to earth and not win 60% of their games, then I think you can make a case. But I think if you play this out and say, well, if the Dodgers, I think you can make the case that the worst part of the Dodgers season is behind them. They won 62.5% of their games, missing half the rotation and against the toughest part of their schedule. So going forward, there's almost reason to believe it's going to be better than that.
Yeah, I think the Padres and the Giants had the window cracked for them a little bit.
Yeah.
And losing those series against the Dodgers, especially the 3 out of 4 against the Padres, really is where you can sort of see when we look back on this, I think that's when you start carving the tombstone on those teams in terms of the division race. And you're right, like they've done this through when they started that run against all the teams that were 500 or better. We were like, okay, what is realistic to hope for given all of their current circumstances and all the context around this roster? And we said, look, if they come out of this thing around 500, maybe a little bit better, like that would be superb. And they went like 17-12 and beat those teams in the process. And that was the chance for those teams because, like you said, the schedule just gets better. Guys are going to start coming back. They're going to get healthier. You expect Mookie Betts is going to perform better. He might not be the Mookie of old, but he's going to be better than he currently is, right? Freddie will break out of whatever he's doing. So this team, I think, it's going to get better. It's going to get healthier. The schedule is in their favor. And I think that they're going to go into September probably with the chance to sort of kind of dictate how they want to use the roster during that month to get guys rest. Like I think they might pull away to that point.
Yeah. I mean, look, you mentioned that 29-game stretch. They won 59% of those games. So they're at least going to win 59%, you would imagine, against the Rockies and the rest of the teams they've got on this. So I think the pitching, we can all hope and maybe somewhat assume that the pitching is going to be better moving forward from a rotation perspective. The one thing I think, and again, I'm not speaking this into existence, but I'm trying to be a realist here. I think offensively, that would be where there's maybe some concern, not concern. What's the word I'm looking for? Like they're just, they're thin. They're thin offensively. There's a few guys that if one of those guys goes sideways for 60 games, there's a hole there. So could they fix that at the deadline? Are there options internally? Maybe, but that's like the only path forward, Anthony, that I could see is if they were to lose one of their big hitters and have to try and replace that from within. So as long as that doesn't happen, and knocking on wood here, then I think they're going to be okay. I see some people in the chat saying they want to talk Austin Barnes to the Giants. Just be patient, folks. Be patient. All right. We'll see. We'll talk later. Austin Barnes, if you missed it, minor league deal assigned to the complex league team for the San Francisco Giants. And I mean, I don't know. I probably don't have any thoughts, but we'll see. We'll see if I can conjure some thoughts up by the time we get there. We do have a super chat here from Bacon Tree. Bacon Tree, we appreciate you. We appreciate bacon in general. Mookie needs to retool his swing. Kim going to miss the next week for yesterday's game. Deep lineup, more starters coming back. Trade Dustin away, ? We're going to talk Dustin May in a little bit, so hold on to that. The Mookie thing just continues, Anthony, and we've said it's going to be a slow burn to get this thing headed back in the right direction because of if you attribute it to the weight loss and stuff like that. But how concerned are you right now with the Mookie Betts situation?
I'm concerned just because he currently looks bad. Like that bats look bad too. I think he's pressing now, like he's feeling the weight of the slump, and he's trying to hit his way out of it with one swing, it feels like. So I'm concerned in that way. I'm not concerned that he won't be better, though. Yeah. I think he's, he'll settle himself and things will get better. Again, maybe the rest of this season he doesn't look like that MVP type player he looked like early last season, but he'll be better. I think an interesting thing, too, with him is also the All-Star break. Like, I really hope helped him and Freddie sort of get right. Yeah. But the one thing with him too is like, the weight loss thing and, just some other nagging things that have happened to him since but he's never really been the same hitter since that injury to his hand. Before that, he was the guy carrying this offense. He was their Ohtani before Ohtani really got going last season. And so, you said if this is the pace he's going to be at offensively, but before the injury, like he is a top 3 finisher MVP voting if he's not the MVP. And Shohei goes on to do 50-50 and all that and whatever. That's great. But that's the kind of offensive player he was just last year, a year ago, essentially, because I think he got hurt in May, something like that. I forget. But since then, he's been sort of just a bad version of Mookie Betts. Yeah. So just curious, I wondered to myself, like, does that have anything to do with this? Because he's never really bounced back to that form since getting hit in the hand.
Yeah, and it's hard because there's all sorts of numbers that you can look at. We've talked about sort of the last 12-month stretch, which ignores the hot start that he had to last year because that's a year and a half ago. It also ignores the hot stretch that he had in the middle of the postseason against the best pitchers in baseball and was the best hitter for the entirety of the postseason. And so there's a lot of moving pieces on the Mookie conversation. And it's one of those that I think you're probably justified to have any range of opinions. Like if you want to sort of be hopping off the Mookie Betts bandwagon and saying, hey, he's an older guy, switching positions, smaller, less athletic. This is the new Mookie Betts. I think you have reason to believe that. If you want to hold out hope that it's because of injury or if it's because of sickness and you play the long game and believe that he's not going to fall off a cliff from a 145 weighted runs created plus to 100 weighted runs created plus guy in one season, age 32, no less, then I think anything in between you can justify. And there's not really something that ends that argument today. I think it's a conversation that's going to be ongoing. And obviously every Dodger fan is rooting for the positive outcome. They're rooting for he puts on a little bit of weight, his legs get under him, and all of a sudden things sort of fall back into place. But, even the optimistic people, I think, Anthony, have to be feeling a little bit of, this is going to turn around, right? Like a little bit of skepticism, even as they hold on to their optimism, I think. So, something to keep an eye on. Some other super chats here. Zip Code 0 says, O'Neal Cruz, former Dodger, seems pretty attractive. Do we get him? Sia Conforto. O'Neal Cruz, 6'7" shortstop. Any interest in going down that road, Anthony?
Not really. Not really.
Arbitration eligible next year for the first time, not a free agent until 2029. So the cost would be prohibitive.
Yeah, for sure. I just wonder what he'd cost. We talked about this on Tuesday where the Dodgers are entering a position where the new core of young players is going to start coming up sometime in the next few years. They'll start trickling in. Dalton Rushing being the first of them, I guess, on the non-pitching side at least.
Pages.
And Pages, yes. And so I don't think they're too keen on trading from that stockpile right now because they think that's where they're going to sort of offset the cost of things like the Ohtani salary, Freddie, the rest of Freddie's deal, the rest of Mookie's deal, et cetera. So I don't think that they're really hungry to deal from that. And I think a guy like O'Neal Cruz might be asking for a whole lot.
Yeah. I don't see it. Like I look at some of the offensive numbers, and to somebody's point, he is not playing shortstop this year. So apologies. He's moved to the outfield. But even offensively, he's 104, 108, 110, 97 weighted runs created plus the last 4 seasons. So he's like a slightly above average offensive player. He's like a highlight guy, right? You see the highlights and it's like, oh my gosh, O'Neal Cruz.
And
unfortunately for him of late,
things like that.
And unfortunately of late, the highlights have been low lights. It's him, letting a ball get past him in center field. It's him not running out a double play, that kind of stuff. So rough week for O'Neal Cruz, but yeah, I just can't imagine if you're the Pirates that you're interested in moving him. LLM says, is Mookie the Dodgers version of Xander Bogaerts? Come on now. 2 World Series already.
Wow. The recency bias here is crazy with Mookie Betts. Like, look, he's not good right now, but he's been great as a Dodger up until basically that hand injury that we talked about. He's not Xander Bogaerts. Xander Bogaerts hasn't been good for the Padres at all. So no, he's not that.
Yeah. And Mookie Betts is playing a really high level competent shortstop right now, while also, right now his worst point offensively, he's slightly above league average offensively. And the Dodgers already got 4 seasons out of Mookie Betts. So they knew it was going to be diminishing returns as this thing got older. Obviously, we're hoping the diminishing returns really start diminishing in year like 8 or 9, not in year 5. But keep in mind, we already got 2 World Series. The Mookie Betts contract has already paid for itself. Ivan says, disingenuous to compare Mookie Betts' slump to Pages. Pages was bad for 23 games. Since game 24, Pages is batting .280 with an .840 OPS. It's okay to say bad year by Mookie Betts. Your thoughts?
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I don't know that we were comparing him to Pages. I don't know if the chat was or anything like that, but yeah, there's different situations for both those guys, clearly. And like I said, Mookie's been bad now for just about a calendar year. Who Pad Meep in the chat let us know that Mookie's injury was on Father's Day last year, so it happened in June. So about a calendar year where he's sort of been not the same hitter. But Pages is coming into his own, and that's fantastic to see. Look, I think Mookie Betts will be better. I am probably right now of the mind that for the rest of the season, while he might get better, he's not going to be great. You just hope for the bounce back in 2026, I think, where he can hopefully be fully healthy and not trying to, I think he's felt like he's been playing catch up for a lot of the season because of that illness that hit him. He sort of kind of hinted at that. I just think that this might be who he is for this season. I don't think he's done though, like as an offensive player at all. The people writing him off, and I don't understand the whole narrative. We've had this before of like Mookie doesn't care. And it's just astonishing to me that people would have that take. And thankfully I haven't seen that in the chat, but I have seen that on social media and that kind of stuff. So, I mean, look, and I'll say hearing that would be concerning to hear you say the 2025 basically might be cooked for Mookie Betts because the hill that he's trying to climb, it's almost like he's trying to gain weight while playing baseball, which those two things are sort of competing against each other type of thing. Like he's trying to improve himself while also having to go out every single day. Those two things are working against one another. Yeah. And when you say cooked, like I think he can still be like a 115, 120 weighted runs created kind of guy, which is pretty good player. But it's not the Mookie Betts that we saw a year ago. Totally. And so when I say like the rest of this season, I think it might look like that because I think he'll get better than basically league average. And then you hope he has a full off season to get himself right and all of that stuff. And then you take next season and maybe he's that kind of guy again. I don't think he's washed by any means. And I don't think he's like going to be a black hole in the lineup for the rest of the season through October. I just think that we might not see the MVP level Mookie Betts this season. Yeah,
I think it's fair. 300 saying Mookie's bat speed has slowed down. Thus a lot of fly balls. 68.7 miles an hour this year, 69 last year. So that's the tricky part is like, I mean, it's down 71.3 back in 2023. So that would be the gap where you saw the gap. But again, last year it was marginally faster a year ago. And he still put together on the whole, a really competent, high level sort of statistical profile. So that's the tricky part, with Mookie. Again, I think there's numbers for all of this. And so it's an interesting dialogue and it's an interesting conversation to have. And I'm curious to see kind of how it plays out moving forward. Carlos with the $10 super chat. We appreciate you, Carlos. Been fun having you in here over the last week and a half or so. Says, I think the reason for these concerns of Betts, Conforto, May, etc., is that the bar for the Dodgers team is set high, that at times it seems unfair to players. We can't win every game. I actually think Carlos is onto something with some of these. Like, I think Conforto, look, everybody knows where I stand on Conforto. I think the Conforto hate is justified. He has like the worst batting average in Major League Baseball. So that's not failing to clear a high bar. But I do think somebody like Dustin May, there's lots of teams in the league that would be thrilled to have a Dustin May in their rotation. So I think that's kind of where the conversation gets tricky is when you get to like replacement level players. I think Dodgers fans scoff at replacement level players, but there's a reason they're called replacement level because most teams in the league can't replace that level of player. And so I think for May, it's a fair conversation. I think Mookie is being compared to his previous self, which is obviously an MVP level, and Conforto is one of the worst players in the team. But in general, I think I agree with what Carlos is getting at here.
Yeah, I think it's a fair point. It really is, I think, because we are holding these guys to that standard. And I just sometimes you have to have a little bit of patience. Like the quick write-off of everybody is like, we got to slow that down. Like people wanted has gone and people wanted,
Muncy.
Muncy gone. So like guys who have track records tend to come around. And for Pages, he's a prospect who showed flashes last year. Didn't start out great this year and has now since found it. I think also anytime you start the season slow, there's a magnifying glass on it because there's more eyeballs paying attention to what your numbers look like. And, if you start out pretty good and then you have a month-long slump in August, doesn't look so bad. Like the optics are different.
Yeah. Shelly with the super chat. I have every confidence in Mookie. He will find his way through this. He is the ultimate professional. The other thing that's worth pointing out is keep in mind that Mookie's also playing shortstop at a really high level. So I know we're focused on the bat and saying like, man, he's a lot of people aren't complaining about Mookie, the total package. They're saying, do we want this guy hitting second, which I think is fair. But when we're talking about overall value that Mookie is providing, keep in mind that, I'm not saying he's playing gold glove level defense, but it's a lot higher level than I would say just about anybody was planning to expect from him. So with all the Mookie stuff, we can keep that in mind. Dr. Cole with the super chat. I know Jeff isn't much of a Kershaw fan, but when I asked my wife to grab us some nosebleeder seats for Wednesday's game, she got us field level. Well, I mean, look, you are a doctor, Mr. Cole. So, I mean, look, the doctors ain't sitting in the nosebleeds. What do we watch for with my 12-year-old elite level pitcher? What you do, Dr. Cole, is you sit your 12-year-old elite level pitcher down and you say, kid, there's a decent chance in your lifetime you will never see a pitcher better than the pitcher that is going to be starting for the Dodgers on Wednesday night. He is one of the greatest of all time, and the fastball isn't going to blow you away. From the field level, you'll probably be able to notice some things. But it's crazy to think, Anthony, that Kershaw genuinely might be the best, if not one of the best starting pitchers that we see in our entire lifetimes.
Totally agree. I absolutely agree with that. I think when you look at the body of work that he's put together and what his prime looked like, his peak years look like, the guy won an MVP as a pitcher. That's how dominant he was. And when you look at that entire body of work, he compares with just about anybody who's ever taken a baseball on a major league field.
He's the best ERA ever.
Yeah.
Ever. Like, I mean, what stat, if you could pick one stat for a pitcher, I think it would be ERA. That is the ultimate goal, right? Strikeouts are nice, wins are nice, all those things. But as far as a pitcher limiting the other team's ability to score runs, nobody in Major League history has ever been better than Clayton Kershaw. So,
agreed.
Kudos to him. So enjoy it, Dr. Cole. I joked. I definitely was looking online for what tickets would cost and how much it would cost me to fly down to be at Wednesday's game, and costs were prohibitive. He had to do this around 4th of July. It's not cheap to fly. You're killing me, Kershaw. You're killing me. Richard with the super chat. Really want to see Mookie move back to right field. Never was a fan of this, but who replaces him? Happier than Mike Schilt at a Twinkie sale that we are in first place. Richard, always love the metaphors and the similes we get from you. Look, I mean, the Mookie to shortstop, I feel like that's the one conversation that we haven't been having because he's been so good there that people have kind of accepted it. The hard part, Richard, is, and I guess with Ha-Seong Kim playing more, we're going to talk about that. I guess there's a world where you could shuffle some things around where it's like Tommy Edman at shortstop and Ha-Seong Kim at second and Teo and Mookie in the corners and Pages in center field. Like you could field a team with Mookie in the outfield, but as bad as the outfield defense has been, I just don't think that improves your team. Like Teo is still out there in a corner outfielder. Mookie in right field is a much diminished version of himself out there. And so even if we were just talking strictly defense, Anthony, I don't think that solves any problems.
Yeah, like Mookie's better than Teoscar, but this I think there's some blinders on for the crowd that for some reason doesn't like Mookie at short and wants him back in right field. He has not been an elite level right field defensive player for a while.
Well, but I think to be fair to them, if I'm defending that position, they're not asking for elite. Like, we're looking at Teoscar play out there and saying, like, can you just give me something close resembling league average? I think is the argument.
Yeah, and then my response to that would be they won the World Series with Teoscar in the outfield last year.
Right. Look, I'm with you. We're going to get to the outfield situation in a minute. I'm just trying to, what is it? Steel man. It's not straw man. Steel man. The best possible version is, hey, it's not so much about like Mookie's a diminished version as much as the alternative. So there we go. Jedi Engineer. We need to stop that early write-off of players. We're not Yankees fans after all. Look,
I'm with you, Jedi.
It's not blind faith. That's what I get accused of all the time. And I'll just say it ends up coming back around in my favor more often than not. And this year's been a great example. Justin Wrobleski today, yet another guy that was ready to be fired off into the sun by some Dodgers fans after his first appearance of the season. And basically since coming back up in June, he's been incredible for this team. Zip Code Zero. Do we see DePaula this year instead of trading for Conforto's replacement? I don't think there's any way DePaula makes it to the majors this year. I think next year would be a stretch. I think realistically for DePaula, you're looking at 2027. This is a guy in high A, I believe, and there's a chance. When Bruce was on here Thursday, there was some hope. Maybe he would be promoted to Double A shortly. But, I mean, these guys are like 20 years old. So it will not be this year for Josue DePaula. Carlos says, thoughts on Teoscar's defense? We're going to get there. Hang tight on this thought, Carlos, because we have lots of thoughts on Teoscar's defense. We'll come back to this in just a second. And then Ivan says, why not pitch Wrobleski and Shohei together? It makes sense. Righty, lefty. Obviously, Wrobleski has been way more effective than Ben Kasparius of late. The problem is they've needed Wrobleski to be his own starter. So you could use him on Shohei days, but then you would need to be using Kasparius on other days. But I guess let's talk this real quick because I did want to talk Wrobleski, Anthony. And he's been fantastic of late. If you look at his last 4 appearances, I keep wanting to say starts because they're all 4+ innings, but 20.1 innings, 4 earned runs, 21 strikeouts over his last 4 appearances. Today was his best yet. 6 innings, 3 hits, no runs, no walks, and 6 strikeouts. He's throwing 99 miles an hour from the left-hand side. He's not walking anybody. That's the key. That's the thing that differentiated bad Wrobleski from good Wrobleski. And he never had walk issues in the minors. So they've simplified some things. They fixed his base, it sounds like, and now he's been fantastic. And so the question, Anthony, is like, what do you actually believe is possible for Justin Wrobleski given the recent run of performances?
Yeah, a 2.37 ERA in his last 30 innings, his last 6 appearances, basically 30 K, 6 walks. Right, that's what you were sort of referencing. I don't think he ends up as a starting pitcher where he is throwing in the first inning this season. I don't think.
Okay.
I'm not saying it can't happen. I don't think, but I think for now, leaving him in that bulk role is probably helpful for them. I think it's the best version of how to optimize this current roster.
Yeah.
And I think that it's a role he can occupy for a while because they're going to be having guys coming back, hopefully throughout the summer, basically.
Yeah.
So, he may be able to live in that role for a little while. And then I think there is a larger conversation to have about him and Kasparius and where they stand in terms of realistic rotation options.
I like the word you chose of optimized because it's not simply a matter of like who is the best pitcher as much as it is how can you deploy these guys in the roles that are best suited for them and then piece it together. And you look at Kasparius, who I think most people would say is a quote unquote better pitcher than Justin Wrobleski, at least has been. And yet Kasparius, since being stretched out, 16 2/3, 12 earned runs, 19 hits, 5 walks, and just 10 strikeouts. Wrobleski has unquestionably been a far better bulk starter type pitcher over the last month than Kasparius. Kasparius, when he was a reliever, was one of the best relief pitchers it seemed like in all of Major League Baseball. And so whether or not that's the long-term role for these two guys remains to be seen. But to have said a month ago, Anthony, that you would prefer Wrobleski to start a game over Kasperius would have been blasphemy in many circles. Right. And yet, to Wrobleski's point, the question has never been the stuff. It has been the command. And he seems to have solved that. And if he's throwing strikes and not walking dudes, as long as you're throwing 97 to 99 from the left-hand side with a cutter and a breaking ball, it's going to work. That stuff's going to play from Wrobleski. And so I agree with you that I think there's a world where Wrobleski becomes a starter in this 6-man rotation we're going to talk about in just a second. And then you can move Kasperius back to a role that he was thriving in, which is that 2-inning, multi-inning sort of relief weapon type role, and just let him fire his stuff. And so that leads us into, let's just dive into this conversation, because the bigger conversation here is how you would rank the Dodgers starting pitchers. The Dodgers have on the 40-man roster essentially 12 starting pitchers. And some of these guys we're going to get to in a little bit are on their way back. Snell, Glasnow. The one guy I don't have on this list is Roki Sasaki, because I have very little confidence that he's going to come back at any point. He's not pitching at the moment. So for starters, just a note, Sasaki is not on this list. But I've got the other 12 guys ranked in tiers, Anthony, on how I would list them. And this is everybody from Kershaw, Sheehan, Wrobleski, Landon Knack, Matt Sauer, Bobby Miller. We're going all the way down the list. And so I want to read you my list, and then you tell me if you have any disagreements. I've got these broken off into tiers. Tier 1, I've got 4 guys. Yamamoto, Snell, when healthy, Ohtani, when healthy, and Tyler Glasnow, when healthy. I would put them in that order. I think Yamamoto, Snell, Ohtani, Glasnow would be my tier 1 healthy playoff rotation, if all available. Any concerns or issues with that group?
Looking through the list here, not at all. Yeah. I think that's a good way to put it. They're the tier 1 guys. Any of those guys, here's what's interesting. This is why we thought like this is the best roster on paper maybe ever assembled when the season started. On good pitching staffs, all 4 of those guys you just named are capable of being the number 1 pitcher.
Yeah, totally. And I think the first tier is the easiest. Like, I think that's the part that everyone's going to
none of the arguments are there.
Jeff, so far, so good, Jeff. What do we got next, right? Because tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4, I've got 6 tiers, by the way. Tier 2, 3, and 4, I think is where it gets interesting. Tier 2, I've got 2 players. Clayton Kershaw and Emmett Sheehan are in this tier for me. The tier after that is Dustin May. And the tier after that is Wrobleski, Kasperius, and Knack. Now, I wrote this list before today's game. I'm not going to try and overreact to one performance, but we'll start at the top. I just give those other names for context here. I've got Kershaw 5 and Sheehan 6. And then a break. Any issues with those 2 guys being? Because I know I'm probably jumping a little early on Sheehan, but that speaks to how I feel about this guy. Yeah.
We're only talking guys who couldn't be healthy this season, right?
Yeah. So like River Ryan's not included on this list. Gavin Stone's not included on this list. And again, Roki Sasaki would be the other guy that I don't have included.
Then I'm with you on that next tier. Kershaw and Sheehan seem like that's fair. I'm looking through. I don't think anyone else belongs there currently.
Yeah, because the question is, and I saw somebody, Jeff's going to overrate Kershaw. I don't know how you could argue with him being anywhere other than where he is. He's not a tier 1 guy for this team, but the performance over the last month and change, like I don't know how you argue that he isn't the 5th best guy that they currently have. Could Sheehan eventually overtake him? Possibly. But for now, I feel like Kershaw definitely belongs there. Sheehan feels like more of a stretch to me to be in that group. And maybe that's just me.
Yeah. Sheehan's track record is pretty short so far.
Small.
But I think based on talent and potential and expectations that he probably is that guy. And I think you said it well, that there's a fairly sizable gap between that first tier and then where we're at now.
Yeah, I think it's true. So tier 3 to me is Dustin May. And then tier 4 is Wrobleski, Kasperius, and Knack. Now, again, I wrote this list before Kasperius' performance yesterday, which was his worst, and before Wrobleski's appearance today, which was his best. So I'll let you decide. I have May, Wrobleski, Kasparius, and Knack in that order. Given the information you have in the last 2 days, I see a lot of people in the chat that are saying Wrobleski needs to be ahead of May. He needs to be 6th on this list. I don't know how you would then rank May, Kasparius. I've got Knack in this group at the bottom of the group, but I think last year he was good enough to belong. So how would you rank May, Wrobleski, Kasparius, and Knack?
I would go right now. I would go Wrobleski, May, Kasparius, Knack.
So you've got May over Kasparius, but Wrobleski at the top of the group.
Yeah, I think the sample for Wrobleski is large enough now that I think it's okay to say that. You know, the last 6 outings for him have been fantastic.
Yeah.
And May is good. But that's about it right now. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I think, and there's value. I think May still carries some value. Like, I think what he's doing, taking the ball every turn, giving them innings, outside of that last start, like he's basically been a guy who's been able to be penciled in for 5. So I think that's valuable too. But I think just on the last month or so, I would put Wrobleski above May right now.
This is going to sound blasphemous. Has Dustin May, is he just plugging the Lance Lynn hole for this team? Because Lance Lynn, that was where we got with Lance Lynn. He's not good, but you know what he does? He takes the ball every 5th day. I mean, in Lynn's case, it was 6+ innings, so maybe he's got that over Dustin May. But the results were poor for Lance Lynn. And yet when you look at Dustin May, the results have been really bad. Like, it's not like we're just talking about, 1 or 2 bad starts here. And it's a 4.7 ERA and a whip of 1.4, Anthony. Like, over a sample size that has been stretched out. He's never been a strikeout guy. He's been effective at limiting runs at times, but this year has been unable to do it. Like, I just think it's a fascinating place to be with Dustin May. The whip has never been this high at any point in his career, and yet it's also the most innings he's ever thrown in a season by far. Like, is the arm getting tired? I mean, it's crazy to say for a guy who's in his 6th major league season with some gaps for injuries, but man, it has been a rough go for Dustin May of late.
Yeah, and his walk rate right now is basically as high as it's kind of
17 strikeouts to 15 walks in the month of June.
Yeah. So, he is in an interesting place, and like the Lance Lynn comp is interesting. Had not given that a thought. Haven't given Lance Lynn much thought.
Optically, 2 guys that approach baseball differently. We'll just say that. A couple different body types, maybe.
Yeah, a little bit. But yeah, like, again,
Lynn was a 4.36 ERA guy for the Dodgers, for context. So from an ERA perspective, basically identical.
Yeah. And like May's expected numbers and all that stuff, like even as you dig a little deeper, aren't very good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's fair. I think the position that he's filling is the same kind of position that Lance Lynn is filling.
Totally.
And
eat, buddy. Eat innings.
Yeah.
Eat innings.
And there is value to this. And so look, we had a lot of hope when he did come back because there was some swing and miss there. And that's just basically kind of disappeared. And I think the lack of command has something to do with that as well, because that stuff is a lot less intimidating when you see it coming when he can't locate anything. So, like I think you have him in the correct tier. But I think we also understand kind of what he is at this point. And right now that's a good choice of words. He's kind of the Lance Lynn role right now.
And it's interesting because I'm trying not to be prisoner of the moment with a guy like Wrobleski, who's put together 4 really good performances. Today was his best. I'm trying not to overreact to basically the worst stretch that we've seen from Dustin May, having allowed, in his last 4 appearances, 15 earned runs over his last 21 innings. I mentioned basically more walks than strikeouts over that stretch over his last 4. But I don't know. It's hard not to have that in the back of your mind. And I don't know what to point to with Dustin May to say, no, it's going to get better because of ... Like, I don't have anything to fill in that box, because even at his peak, even when the velocity was there, again, it just wasn't swing and miss stuff. So just to recap, Yamamoto, Snell, Ohtani, Glasnow, Kershaw, Sheehan, tier 2. And then tier 3, we would have Wrobleski, 6th, May, 7th, Kasperius, 8th, Knack, 9th. Then I've got Sauer. Sorry, we're way more than 9. Knack is 10th, Sauer 11th, and then Bobby Miller way down at the bottom, number 12 in this one. So we'll see. I mean, I'm curious to revisit this list in a month, Anthony, to see what Wrobleski's month has looked like if Kasperius continues to get starts. But here's the takeaway for me. 2 things. The Dodgers want to go to a 6-man rotation. And I think right now there's a battle for that 6th spot. It's going to be Sheehan when he comes back up. It's going to be Wrobleski, and it's going to be Dustin May. I think those 3 guys are going to be in the mix. I think they move Kasperius back to a relief pitcher role basically as soon as they can afford to and see what happens. So it's just crazy to me that Emmett Sheehan and Justin Wrobleski might be battling for regular starts on a fully healthy Dodgers staff if we ever get there. It's just a crazy thing to think about.
Yeah, and it's been earned. I think when that happens, it would not be out of like the least bad of a bad option or bad choices. I think that they've earned that look with the way they've pitched. So yeah, like I'm with you on that. And yeah, I think Kasperius is like they're counting down to when they can probably move him back into the role where he was successful.
Yeah. Jedi Engineer said they'd put Kershaw before May. We agree with you on that. We've got Kershaw 5th and May. We're moving down to 8th on this list. 20 said May is a head case. I don't know about that. I just think the pitch that he throws, his sinker, he just doesn't get swing and miss. It looks nice. It looks really, really great. It just doesn't work is the problem. 300. Crazy thought here. It's conceivable May isn't on the postseason roster. And if that's the case, do we move him and get something for him? Anthony, this is so interesting to hear somebody suggest possibly trading Dustin May. I feel like I've heard this idea. I feel like this idea has come up at various times, maybe even on this show. There might have been somebody who suggested this months ago that this might happen. Look, this was one of my bold predictions. We all know how those have gone better than expected if you really dig into it. But you are not a believer in this idea. You are not a believer that the Dodgers are ever going to move any of their starting pitchers, essentially for fear of them needing him / potentially providing some value out of the bullpen / what are you actually going to get from him? So I'm curious, as Wrobleski has improved, as Sheehan gets closer to return, as Snell and Glasnow are at least trending in the right direction, has there been any movement on your view of potentially looking to trade Dustin May in his final year before he becomes a free agent?
No.
Okay.
No. I think there's a couple of reasons. One, he's a guy he's holding value for you right now, even though the numbers aren't great. He's a guy who is providing you a service that you do need on this team. Also, I just don't know what you get for him. He hasn't been good.
Yeah.
So like you're almost trading him essentially just to clear space, but it's like
the 40-man roster spot's not nothing. I mean, in all seriousness, that could be some value to the Dodgers.
Sure. Yeah, but then if that's all you're doing, then you might as well just hold on to him because, again, he's providing you a service that, in all honesty, only a couple of other guys on this roster this season have been able to provide you.
Yeah.
And so who knows with Glasnow? Who knows with Snell? You know what I mean? Like you might only have 6 starters.
Yeah.
And so like you're not getting anything of real value in return for him. So I think he holds more value pitching for you than he does opening up a roster spot. Because I think for the most part, the guys who are already on the 40-man are the guys that we're talking about who might replace him. It's not like they're going to get another starter in a trade that would replace him in the rotation. I don't think that's realistic to expect that.
Yeah, I think the 2 things you and I just disagree on are, one is I think they could actually get something for him. Like we've seen trade deadline prices. The Dodgers gave up something to go and get Lance Lynn. And I know Lance Lynn had a longer track record, etc. But like guys, there are teams that are going to be desperate for bodies and they are going to be willing to give up something. And the Dodgers tend to know where the hidden gems are hidden in every other organization in Major League Baseball. But the question I keep coming back to, Anthony, for why I think this is real is this. How big of a gap is there between Dustin May and Landon Knack right now? Because to me, the answer is not a big one. And so you've got Landon Knack sitting right there. And that's a guy that if you want to talk about on any of these guys betting on health, it would be Landon Knack because of the way he pitches, the durability he's shown, etc. So I just think you could get down to number 10 on this list and still find equivalent value to what you're getting out of Dustin May, which is a 4.5 ERA guy who's going to be dependable and show up every 6 day. Like, to me, if you can go get that from Landon Knack, then go get yourself a couple lottery tickets for Dustin May and keep things moving. That's just my viewpoint. I wouldn't say it's likely, but I think you could easily convince me that that's the long-term, the better move.
And that's fair. Like, I will say that, like, that there's some sense to that. There's some logic behind it that makes sense. So yeah, like I could totally be like convinced that that's a thing that they would do. Again, though, I just do not trust at the moment trading away from the guys who are actually giving you innings because there's so many guys who are hurt.
Okay, we got a super chat that's not happy with you, Anthony. Phil says Anthony would prefer May, who has done jack, as compared to Buehler, whose track record is proven. Now saying track record guys he has more faith in. Someone can't stay consistent with his analysis. So
what the hell? What? I
mean,
don't know
Buehler,
where any of this is coming from. Dustin May will not be pitching for the Dodgers in October, which is what matters. I don't want him pitching for the Dodgers in October when it matters. And I don't know if you've taken a look at what Walker Buehler's looked like this season or watched any of the games that he started. I've watched 3 of his outings. Not good.
Yeah.
Not good. And you can talk about track records being proven. Okay. Thinking Dustin May is going to be an ace when October comes, when he hasn't shown any signs of it in the regular season, is kind of what you're really, really hoping there. I don't want either of those guys pitching for the Dodgers in October.
Yeah, I think the argument for May is not track record or anything. It's just the availability, right? It's availability is the most important ability, that kind of thing. So I think if Anthony is making the argument for Dustin May, it's not that Dustin May is good. The argument is that Dustin May has given them innings. He's just eaten innings every 5 to 6 days when the Dodgers have needed him to. And we saw the Dodgers go to multiple bullpen games in the postseason last year. And so if you had to choose between Dustin May and a bullpen game, at least that gives you an option. The Dodgers didn't even have the option last year. Right. And so that would be the argument, I think, for Dustin May. We are also a very pro Walker Buehler podcast here, just to be perfectly clear. We're glad that he's crapping the bed, not in our jersey, but I'd talk myself into it. I'd talk myself into it. If Walker Buehler tweak a couple things, get that guy in the bullpen in October, who knows what can happen. But nobody's actually advocating for them to go and sign Walker Buehler. So we appreciate the super chat, Phil. And we got a little misunderstanding there, but that's all right. We'll keep it moving. Jedi Engineer, May is like Nolan Ryan. Only problem is guys don't swing wild like they did in Nolan's day. They know too well. He doesn't know where the ball is going. It's also like I was trying to find the exact reference to this, but the problem with a guy like Dustin May is the type of pitches he throws, sinkers and cutters. Those two pitches tend to not miss bats. They miss barrels and they limit hard contact in theory, but they don't miss bats. Right. And so while it's nasty, it moves. It's moving on the bat. It's not moving off of the bat has been the problem for Dustin May. I think I posted it the other day. His sinker has a whiff rate under 10%, which he's throwing like 40% of the time. So the math is bad there.
Yeah.
The Dachshund dude says, do you think they phantom IL Yamamoto for rest once Ohtani, Glasnow, and Snell come back? I appreciate the fact that we're talking about when these guys come back. This is speaking my language here. But do you think, we just talked about a world where the Dodgers have Wrobleski and Kasparius and Knack. Like, do you think the Dodgers start, sitting Yamamoto down for a little bit, getting him a breather? Maybe Clayton Kershaw gets a few weeks off just to keep the guys fresh, Anthony?
I could see that. Maybe it's not a phantom IL. Maybe they just skip a turn in the rotation. If all those guys are healthy and the other guys we've been discussing are healthy, they may say, hey, Wrobleski, here's your chance to, get a real actual start, or Knack or somebody like that. I think that, I could see them doing something like that. IL, I don't know. Possibly if one of those guys is in OKC, and they want to do that, then maybe, and then they give him just extra time off. But I could see them sort of skipping a turn or two.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Keep in mind two things. One, they have the Ohtani rule. So if and when Ohtani is a fully built up starting pitcher, they get an extra starting pitcher. So to skip a turn with Yamamoto would essentially be to play under the same rules as everybody else is playing under. And second of all, keep in mind that Yamamoto had an incredible track record of durability in Japan before coming over. Now, that was like, every 6 days, once a week, whatever that schedule was. So it's worth pointing that out. But he has had some durability. So I don't know if I agree with like just defaulting to guys can't make all their starts anymore. But if you're the Dodgers, and again, your plan is not to have this guy make 32 starts, but to make 36 starts all the way through the end of the postseason, then I'm perfectly fine with you playing things a little bit different there. David, Dodger fans, please vote for every Dodger to start the All-Star game. Blue Wave, gonna make history. Real quick, Anthony, I had this as a bigger topic, and we're already at the 51-minute mark, so we'll just go quickly. Where do you stand on just voting all Dodgers in? Because some people have said, "Hey, it's we've got to be patient," and some of the Dodgers don't deserve it. I'd like to see the Dodgers in the game, but these guys aren't the best. Yada yada yada. Where do you stand on that? Because to me, I'm like, the most any team's ever had is 5. Hell yeah, let's get 8 Dodgers. Who cares if they deserve it? Some people disagree. Where do you stand?
Look, they already hate us because they ain't us. So just give them another reason to hate. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I do think this might be the last opportunity we have, because I could see some rule changes happening with this system, even though the system itself is kind of new. So that way, like, I think there's going to be some complaining if this happens from not just other teams, but I think Major League Baseball will probably take a look into this and go, okay, we're looking at Tommy Edman's numbers, and he got voted in as a starter, and so he's going to start this one. But like, how do we combat this from happening again? Like, I think the other thing is baseball doesn't want this game to become that kind of mockery. Where, and not saying that Tommy Edman being an all-star is mockery. I'm saying like a fan base getting behind like their worst player as a goof and voting him into the all-star game. Like, I don't think they want to see stuff like that happen.
Yeah. I'm with you. And yet 8, baby, line them up. 8 people in the final 2.
I'm with it. Yeah.
5 of the 8 you could make compelling cases for. I think Mookie Betts and probably Tommy Edman are the 2 big. Teoscar Hernandez. I mean, those would be the 3 reaches. But I think all of the rest of the guys, Muncy, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, Andy Pages, I think you could make Ohtani, obviously. You can make compelling cases. Yer says Padres announcer said Machado is a far more better third baseman than Muncy for the All-Star game on live TV. Thoughts? Look, he's a Padres announcer. Like, that's exactly what I would expect from the Padres announcer. So kudos to him for saying his thing. But yeah, good for him. Machado, whatever, dude. Okay, we got a special guest for you though tonight. 3 boxer Matthew Moreno is here. He heard Austin Barnes was back, sort of on a major league contract, not even close to a major league contract actually, and he had to join. So we got super chats, we got outfield to talk about, Matt. But it's good to see you, my friend. Happy Sunday.
Yeah, I heard we had a lively crowd tonight, and I thought, oh, let me hop on with the guys. I feel like it's been a little bit since I've been on. I guess I filled in for you maybe a week ago. I forgot what day.
A couple Sundays ago.
I forgot. As we know, covering the team every day is like Wednesday, right? Like it doesn't doesn't matter. But yeah, it's I heard Austin Barnes back in the NL West. I thought, oh, the Dodgers boosting their organizational depth, and then I realized no, it's actually the Giants.
Yeah, is he back in the NL West? I mean, we'll get there. Okay, we got a couple more super chats here. Carlos says Luis Garcia DFA'd. Is Trevino next? Who's next? And then Steven, similar question. Can you please explain why we DFA'd Garcia and not Trevino? Well, I mean, the short answer is one of these guys is named High Levy Lou, and the other guy is named Luis Garcia. So that's the short version here. I was surprised, Matt, with how bad Luis Garcia's numbers had been. Like, I was like, hey, this guy's been decently solid. 5.27 ERA and a 1.83 whip. Good Lord, how did he survive this long? Good for him collecting paychecks while on the IL. But Garcia is gone. Do you think Trevino is going to be quick behind him, Matt?
I don't necessarily know about quick, but I think it's probably at some point. I mean, like Garcia, Trevino, even Noah Davis, who they recalled today. Excuse me. Like, these guys were not part of the plan heading into the season. And I mean, Jeff, like you said, Luis Garcia, like, his biggest contribution was that he was available. And I know
Yeah.
he just came off the IL recently, and so that changed. But up until then, I mean, he was leading the team, I think, in appearances for a long stretch. And so what honestly makes it also surprising was that they didn't leave him in there to kind of wear it yesterday. If you know you're cut, like, I don't think they woke up this morning and decided to cut bait. Like, I'm sure they knew what the roster move was, but maybe the other side of it is they were going to give Garcia a little bit of a break and not just leave him out on the hill and then DFA him the next morning. Because they probably didn't want to upset the Padres fans again, because I know that there was a lot of concern about how many pitches. Was it Sauer that they were worried about? They were very concerned about Matt Sauer's health and throwing 100 pitches in that one game.
Yeah, Edgardo Enriquez activated off the 60-day IL, which is what prompted this. It's hilarious because you looked at it. There's a gentleman by the name of Zach Penrod who's currently occupying a 40-man roster spot. So kudos to him. But Luis Garcia could not be sent down, I believe was his problem. Correct. Is that right, Matt? Like, he was he's been around for long enough that he could not be sent down. So Will Klein, Jack Little, Penrod, these are all guys that can be shuttled. And Noah Davis, who you mentioned, these are all guys who can be shuttled to and from Oklahoma City. And Lou Trevino's in the same boat as Luis Garcia. So I'm with you that that could be an issue for High Levy Lou at some point, but he is High Levy Lou. So what are we worried about here? Okay. Dorman wants to know, who is better, Anthony, Shohei at baseball or LeBron at basketball?
Ooh, that's a fun question.
I didn't have to think very long at this one. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, I mean,
I've got Shohei.
Different. It's not apples to apples. I think Shohei at baseball, because the two things he does are so in baseball world polar opposite. They're so different, and he's great at both of those things. I guess in basketball, you go is the guy a two-way kind of player? And for LeBron, especially at his peak, was outstanding at both ends of the court.
Are you a LeBron or Jordan guy, Anthony?
Like, just as a basketball player, I think LeBron's a better basketball player. Matt,
LeBron or Jordan?
I think that we have our Lakers Nation sister site, and so we should. I don't. For business sake, I'm going to pass on answering that question.
The point you make about Ohtani is the hard one. There is no comp because it's not offense and defense. I mean, the closest comp is what Travis Hunter's trying to do in the NFL, because those are like two completely unrelated things that nobody has ever done before.
Correct.
And so whether LeBron is the best or second best player of all time, he's one of those two things. I think there's a compelling case that Shohei Ohtani is going to be the best. And it could be by a wide margin because of what he is able to do. So we'll see.
Agreed.
Tim wants to know any updates on Alexis Diaz. Matt, he's been throwing down in Oklahoma City and has been seemingly trending up and to the right, as they say.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just sort of a matter of time. Like, they want him to kind of pitch in these real games with Oklahoma City with some of the adjustments that the Dodgers pitching coaches worked on with him out at Camelback. And so, I mean, if he continues trending in your up and right direction, then I think he'll be up here at some point. As I said, as we just answered, like, the Dodgers kind of finish rotating through some of their relievers and making roster decisions and all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Zenji asked a question. Edman still has to be hurt since they don't want to put him in center field at all. Kim at second, Edman in center would be our ideal situation. Free Thighzilla, which is Ha-Seong Kim. But let's talk about the Dodgers outfield, because the Dodgers outfield situation has become interesting. And the conversation around Tommy Edman's health, Matt, and Ha-Seong Kim's performance, it seems like for the first time, things might be trending in the direction that everybody is hoping it would. Edman's ankle seems to be fully recovered. Dave says he will be back in center field more. As you look on Sunday, he was back starting in center field for the first time. Of course, Ha-Seong Kim was nowhere to be found, but that's neither here nor there. But this is what Dave said. Going forward, we'll have some opportunities to get Ha-Seong, more opportunities to play some second base. Tommy is going to start playing some more outfield going forward. That has already started to happen. So, Matt, I'll come to you first. Does Edman moving and being able, now that his ankle is fully healed, does his ability to play center field, is that a game changer in your mind?
It should be, but it's not going to be with the way it's like carried out.
Because you think that even though this opens up room for Ha-Seong Kim, that it's actually not going to open up room for Ha-Seong Kim?
Yeah, and I think Anthony, you and I discussed it when I was on with you. Is it feels like every time Dave Roberts comes out and says something to the effect of Ha-Seong Kim is going to start more or is getting more looks or however he words it, it's followed by like one start in an 8 or 9 game stretch. So I mean, I guess maybe it changes, but I'm not. It's not going to happen overnight. It's kind of, I guess, how I'm looking at it.
Anthony, have you stopped believing Dave every time he tells you that Ha-Seong Kim is about to start playing more and then gets benched for 3 of the next 4 games?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like we don't have to totally rehash all of this, but we've had discussions where we just don't understand the reasoning or the logic behind why that is happening. So yeah, I mean, it's baffling, I think, to everybody, why they're doing this and why they're doing it the way they do it. If Edman is going to start playing center field, you would hope that's going to open the door there for Kim, but I just think that they're going to continue to use him the way they've been using him. And the door that it opens is going to be for like Kike and Rojas to get more playing time at second base.
Here's why I'm optimistic, because I really do think, based on how the Dodgers have behaved, there is a dramatic difference about how they feel defensively with Kim at second base versus center field. Like, I think there is a massive gap between how confident they are in his ability to play center versus second base. He has come into the game at second base towards the end of games, whereas he's been removed from center field at the end of games regularly. Now, I understand the skepticism. I can see it on Matt's face as soon as I say that out loud, but I do think this is what needed to happen. I think you could make a compelling case up until this point. Hey, the reason Kim is not playing is because they don't trust him in center field and because Tommy Edman is not ready to play there. Well, now Tommy Edman is playing center field. He's available to play there. And I do think we're going to see more. Now, does that mean Ha-Seong Kim is going to play 7 days a week? I don't think so. I think it's like maybe 5 days and you rotate some days off with other guys. But if I gave you over under 4.5, Matt, are you taking the under on that? Days of the week game 4 out of 7, you're taking the under on 4.5.
Yeah, I still think it's like at 3.5 at the most.
Anthony, you going under on 4.5?
I would go under. I think you might have the random week where he plays a lot more, but like if you take it over the course of like, let's say a month, I think the average is below.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Matt.
Real quick, like I was smiling at, and like the cues that you picked up on, like what you're saying certainly makes sense, and there is validity, and there's, but it's just interesting, like that's where the Dodgers would decide to draw a line with outfield defense. When I know we're probably going to get into a pretty fun discussion here about the corner spots and how those shape out defensively. So it's interesting to see kind of like their approaches with the different players, and not that there's favoritism, but just how they decide. Like if I think it boils down to like a veteran, an experienced guy, all that type of thing. And the reality, look, like Ha-Seong Kim, sure, maybe Coors Field, the outfield is a little bit challenging, but it's also the Rockies. Like, just give him a shot. Like, just let him play one of the games in center field. Like, what is the worst that happens?
I just appreciate that you both took the under because you believe in Michael Conforto. So I'm just glad we're all on the same page that we can't get Conforto out of the lineup that many days of a week. And so we agree there. But let's talk outfield defense, because related to the Tommy Edman conversation is if Tommy Edman is playing center field, then that allows you to move Andy Pages to a corner spot where he is much better. Safe to say he is much better there. And he is a massive upgrade once you move him there compared to the two guys that have traditionally been playing there, which is Michael Conforto and Teoscar Hernandez. And Anthony, I want to drill down on Teoscar specifically because he has been the ire of most people. They have not been impressed with the hustle of Teoscar Hernandez, myself included. They have not been impressed by like even the effort on balls that he is throwing back into the infield, myself included. And yet, how unfair do you think it is, the expectations that are placed on him, given how bad he was last year? Like, we're not talking about a guy who was a Gold Glover that everybody wanted re-signed. He was terrible last year, and then they re-signed him, and now he's terrible again. We could be talking different degrees of terrible, but what do you make of what we've seen from Teoscar Hernandez defensively and kind of how that trickles down to everything else that happens out there?
Yeah, I do think it's unfair. I think it's just a thing that we're discussing because lately he's had some big misplays.
Yeah.
Or balls that like we all think probably he should have gotten to, that kind of stuff. But he was bad last year. I think just we were enamored with the whole Teo show last season, and the smile and the personality, and he was clubbing home runs and all of this. And so I think like we sort of gave him that pass. He was bad though. Like he was not a good outfielder. And I don't think he's much worse this season. He's still bad. And he's still a pretty good offensive player. I think he's got a 115 to 120 weighted runs created plus number right now. So he's producing enough. But yeah, I mean, it's not for me anything that like I'm panicking about, because this last week he had some really bad misplays. Like this is who he is. And if Edman does get put into center, I think some of that is negated because he ends up having to play a different kind of right field if you have a guy out there who's as good in center as Edman can be.
Matt, do you want to do the outs above average and percentiles, or do you want to do the eye test? I'll give you the choice here.
Yeah, I was going to tell Anthony that not to worry, because I know that Jeff has all the nerd data on Teoscar's outfield I guess success or lack thereof last season and this year. Like, it is crazy basically how identical I guess it pretty much is, right? And
yeah,
I know Teoscar was not good in left field last season, like fine, but he does, and I've seen people like sign, like he does look significantly worse this year. Like it optically, whether Jeff, like you said, whether it's just slow to balls like down the line or in the gap. And one thing that I like when we were kind of talking about, I said some of it too is ball, like the catch probability when you were throwing all, spitting out these pluses and minuses and X stats at me.
You didn't like percentages. You put a percentage thing there and Matt is out immediately.
Yeah. I said some of it, at least for me, like when I've been at games and I've noticed, especially I noticed it a lot when the Dodgers were down at Petco, the balls at the Padres, couple of them, they were hitting down the line. Like he's slow kind of getting to. And so that's not going to be on catch probability, right? Because it's a base hit. It's a ground ball basically that gets through first base and goes down the line. And so, and I know people have been asking, like, is he hurt? Like Teoscar has said he's not. Dave Roberts has said that no, like his growing issue is not affecting him now. And one thing Dave brought up was Teoscar beating out a double play during the Royals series. So I know he's more comfortable in right field. I still, even though, and Jeff, you can get to your data and I'll pretend like I'm listening. I still would try shifting him back to left field and see, like, at least it won't look as bad as it has this year in right.
Yeah.
More balls get hit to left field.
Well, so here's the two things. Yeah. Here's the two things that I would say. I said, I made the point on social media that last year Teoscar Hernandez was in the second percentile of all of Major League Baseball when it came to outs above average, which is a defensive metric. And defensive metrics are like the most imperfect of all nerd stats. If you want to crap on nerd stats, crap on the defensive ones, because nobody will actually say they're perfect. They offer something, they don't offer everything. He was the second percentile. This year, he's first percentile. So I make the point to say, we re-signed the guy who was in the second percentile. Can we really be that mad when he drops to the first percentile? Now, the pushback that I got, which is fair, and I want to honor, is that second percentile and first percentile are 1 percentage away from each other. That doesn't mean that not every 1 percentile is measured equally. Last year, Teoscar Hernandez was a -10 outs above average player over the course of the season. This year, he is a -8 outs above average player already in half of a season. So he is a worse player this year than last year. But here's the most interesting thing, and it's the right field, left field, because I keep hearing this, and I'm not saying people are wrong, and maybe there's something I'm missing here. But the thing that doesn't make any sense to me, there's two. One is Anthony just said it. More balls get hit to left field than to right field. So why would you move a guy who's this bad to a spot where there are more right-handed hitters who are pulling the ball more towards left field? And secondly, more importantly, last year in 2024, Teoscar Hernandez played 2/3 of his game in left field and 1/3 of his games in right field. On a per game basis, he graded out so much worse in left field than he did in right field. He was a -9 outs above average left fielder and a -1 outs above average right fielder. Now, again, right field, he played 1/3 of games, left field 2/3. But even if you percentage that out, that's like 3 to 4 times worse as a left fielder than a right fielder. So I think it's imperfect. I agree with all of you that the eye test is awful. He doesn't look like he's hustling. He is reading the ball poorly. He doesn't throw the ball with aggression. Like, nothing looks pretty with Teoscar Hernandez. I'm just saying, A, I think we signed up for this, and B, I definitely don't think Matt moving him to left is going to solve anything.
I mean, maybe not, but like, so two things. One, I wonder, like, sure, fine. There's more balls hit to left field than right field. Is it possible that Teoscar, and he hasn't said one way or the other. I don't know if he's been asked this, at least not when I've been around. He has not. Is it possible that he gets better reads in left field, and so like that helps him in some regard? The other side of this, and I lost my train of thought. Where was it? You brought up hustle.
Just how bad the throws, just like how bad he's looked in right field compared to left field, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I lost my train of thought. Anthony, you can go. Let me see if I can.
And look, and I'll say this real quick: like Conforto, nobody is defending Conforto, the outfielder. Conforto, like just for context, is like a 25th percentile outfielder, which again is bad. But when you're standing next to the guy who's in the first percentile, you look like a 10 out of 10, so to speak. So I don't think Conforto is like anything special at all out there. Whereas I think Pages is, because arm alone, I think he's a difference maker in right field.
Yeah, and the other point that I was going to add, like an honest question for you guys. Like, I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not trying to poke holes in the stats or anything. And maybe it is just recency bias, but just do either one of you remember him looking this bad in left field last year compared? Like, fine, he's never been really like.
Yeah, I don't understand like where again. I think this is a lot of recency bias because there were plays last year in left field where you went, "What the hell's he doing?"
And like, I have a terrible memory. I'll say this. And so I agree with you, Matt. Like, even as I'm making the nerd stats arguments, I'm like, I'm not trying to defend how ugly it looks. Now, a couple of those balls that dropped like right down the line, it felt like 3 times in a row. I'm like, it looks bad. I don't think there's a ton of guys that are actually getting to that ball.
Field last season.
Yeah, it could be.
He had a bunch of those. That was probably the main play where he looked bad as a left fielder last year, are those balls dropping in front of him like that.
I do remember that happening last year. I guess and again, it could be recency bias. Like, I personally just don't remember it being like to this extreme. And it could just, Jeff, like to your point, I mean, there was 3 hit-to-hit, like kind of
right in that triangle, right behind first base.
Not all 3 of those like were not his fault. Like,
yeah,
maybe realistically one definitely was. Maybe a second, like I don't remember enough. Maybe 2, but all 3, like to put all 3 of those on his shoulders weren't. Yeah. The play that was bad was more of like that line drive to him. That
the
just
line drive was the bad one. Yeah,
like that. That was kind of inexcusable.
And I think to put a bow, and this is something you've said to me, Matt, that I think maybe is something that we can all stack hands. I don't want to put words on anyone's mouth. Is I think to your point, Anthony, his ability to get to balls has not changed. Like if you look at expected catch versus actual catch percentage, it's like the same as last year. But I think the point that Matt has made to me, which I think is a fair one, is it feels like the consequences for his misses are increased. Like instead of, oh, he doesn't get to that ball and so it drops in front of him, it feels like there have been 5 or 6 where it's like, oh, he doesn't make it to the line and the ball bounces all the way past him and a single just turned into a triple. Or the line drive where it's like, okay, he should catch that, but instead it ends up being like a monumental gaffe. Like to me, that's where I feel like maybe there's a difference, not in like raw success rate, but maybe the consequences feel more significant this year.
I think that's fair. Yeah, I think that's fair. And again, a lot of these bad plays have all happened within the last handful of days. And this,
I mean, I could go back through text message threads that have Teoscar fans ? In various threads that I'm in, because I think it's been a repeated theme. But to your point, it might have been from last year too.
He was this last, like I know we're talking about like we don't remember it or whatever, but the numbers are there, and he was this last year. Maybe he wasn't quite as bad. Maybe the leg, the groin thing is lingering, and even if they won't say it, like who knows? He's a little bit worse this year, but he was bad last year. The thing is, he was socking dingers, and if he gets back to doing that, then we're not going to care again.
Yeah. So then I guess if we don't, I mean, if you guys have something the last thing I have for both of you guys is there any interest then in moving him to left field, or do you just view it kind of as all things being equal, so just leave him over in right?
I would move him to left field for this reason. I think Andy Pages is way more valuable in right field. I think Teo's going to suck no matter where you put him. Some people have made the point that maybe in left field, your mistakes are less costly because of where you are geographically on the field, closer to third base, as far as further away from third base. To me, it would come down strictly to, I want Andy Pages in right field because I think he's a borderline elite right fielder. I think he'd be a really good left fielder, but the arm plays up more in right field for that reason.
I agree. I'll make my last point here. I agree with that. And even though more balls get hit there, I think the trade-off of Andy Pages being a Gold Glove caliber right fielder outweighs that part of it.
Yeah.
Also, like I said, if he starts hitting for power again or more often, I think we probably this conversation sort of starts to drip away. And also, I think that their World Series chances they're not going to make or break on his defense alone.
Yeah.
Just same as when Chris Taylor was on the roster and Austin Barnes was on the roster.
Wow.
Those two guys occupying spots were not going to change their World Series odds. Teoscar, obviously, he plays a lot more, so the consequences are there. But I don't think that would be the reason why like something goes awry here.
And to be clear, Matt, he's saying Austin Barnes' presence wasn't going to hurt their odds. I know you think they helped their odds, but Anthony was just indicating that it just wasn't a negative to have him on there.
There's an Austin Barnes, Dalton Rushing conversation that we can have. We don't need to get into
another day. Another day. All right, let's get to some super chats and close this out. We're at the 116 mark. We got a bunch to get to. We are going to talk Austin Barnes, so in all seriousness. Okay. Carlos, my guy. Heltman is raking in OKC. Does he return if Conforto doesn't turn it around to replace him? Return if Conforto, buddy. It's going to be Outman in center, Conforto in left, and figure out right field another day. We're going to the shit, Matt. 4 home runs in 6 days. I don't think he got one today, but my guy Outman getting that OPS back to quad digits almost.
Yeah, I mean, he's boosting his trade value at the perfect time. So Outman,
there you go.
Keep on hitting. Keep doing your thing. I'm supporting you.
Jedi Engineer Jeff is also up and to the right on the Comet, getting second base time with Rojas's jammed finger. Look, I would never root for somebody's injury. I would never. I didn't. I definitely thought for a second that it might solve some things, but
I thought it too.
There you go. At least we can be honest. David wants to know, Anthony, why is Teoscar Hernandez so slow? Do you want to? I'll just pause there. Do you want to answer why is he so slow? Is it possible for him to get faster? Is he going to get slower? He needs to do hot yoga. I'm going to take your word for hot yoga. David, just so you know, typically you don't get faster as the age number increases. It only goes one direction. So I think we're on this is down and to the left. Teoscar's speed is not up and to the right. It's down and to the left.
As you know, for the why question, that's how God made Teoscar. He's a slow guy. He's a slow human. Look, I do think some of that part of it, I think even if like the groin, lower body is feeling okay, there might be some like residual, like, I don't want to re-aggravate this thing. And so I might not be going all out for this ball down the line or something like that. I think there might be some of that there.
Look, it's definitely partially an effort thing because sometimes he looks faster than others is the problem. J-Rod, as it relates to outs above average and percentiles, I don't know what you said, Jeff, but I trust you. See, that's the right attitude right there, J-Rod. Matt Moreno could learn a thing or two from you, okay? Jedi Engineer, were those memories of Teo better or worse than Manny Ramirez plays in left, Anthony?
Oh man.
They're worse because Manny Ramirez was the freaking man.
That was a circus. That was a circus. I think
that was he the worst. Is that the worst defensive player you've ever seen for the Dodgers? Is it Manny?
Jose Offerman was pretty bad.
Yeah, I think the thing with Manny is like he really I don't want to say he didn't try, but like he sort of didn't.
You could say it. He did not try. He could care less.
So like that was like it's kind of like, well, he's like just out there like Anthony said, it was like he's out there just kind of having fun, like doing somersaults, diving at balls for no reason. Like it was that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Where like Teoscar is at least like trying to get to these. He just either can't or for whatever reason doesn't. But yeah,
it's Manny was a great cutoff man. Fantastic.
Yes, Manny knows the fundamentals.
Yeah, Manny was the man. No negative things about Manny Ramirez, but Manny was awesome. Okay, let's do some injury updates. We're at the hour 20 mark. We're gonna do some injury updates. We got dog of the week. We got all sorts of stuff left to do. We'll see what we get through. I'm gonna fire through these injury updates real quick to keep people updated. Glass now. By the way, DodgerBlue.com is your place for all of this. Okay. All of the information that I'm about to give you is just a summarization of what our guys, Matt and the team over at DodgerBlue.com are putting out. Home games, road trips. We cover all of it. I'm telling you, go check the other Dodgers websites. Matt wouldn't say this. I'm going to say it for him. Go check the other Dodgers websites and go look what their content looks like when the team is on a road trip. And then go look at our content, and you're going to be up to speed. If you want to be up to speed with the Dodgers, the latest news, the latest injury updates, the latest rumors, whatever it might be, DodgerBlue.com. All right. So Tyler Glasnow makes his second rehab start with Oklahoma City. 66 pitches. That was the most important number, way up on the total pitches. The results were not great. 2 1/3, 5 earned, 3 strikeouts. Command has been all over the place, but we'll just rapid fire this one. Matt, I'll come to you first. The good news with Glasnow is 66 pitches. I mean, I think if the results were better, there's a world where Glasnow's one rehab start away from being in the majors. Now, the results have been bad, so if I was a betting man, I would say he makes 2 more starts in Oklahoma City, but 66 pitches. I mean, like, he could be at 80 next week.
Yeah, Dave did say he will make a second. They wanted him to get to, I think he said 4 innings in this last start, which I thought was kind of a big jump from his first one. So as much as he did the 66 pitches, they still want the proverbial up down that we will reference several times when we're discussing pitchers. So it looks like 2 more. Obviously, with the Dodgers, anything can kind of change. And yeah, I mean the results they are what they are. I mean, for me at this point, just get Glasnow back, see what you're going to get out of him if he's going to stick around from a health standpoint, and then go from there.
Okay, Anthony, Blake Snell hit 94 miles an hour during a bullpen session through 36 total pitches, expected to face hitters during the upcoming homestand. One of the things that's encouraging to me, and I know I'm not allowed to be encouraged by Dodgers pitching health updates, but it feels like Glasnow kind of went from 0 to 60 real fast. Yeah. It was a week ago he was facing hitters, and then he threw 66 pitches at AAA. I'm like, holy crap, that's a big jump. So I think they're going to be careful with these guys, but it does feel like if Snell can face hitters next week, you can start to piece things together for a couple rehab appearances, the All-Star break, and all of a sudden it feels like Blake Snell could be back in a Dodgers uniform maybe sooner than feels realistic.
Yeah, I think that his path right now is good. I think for him, because you mentioned the Glasnow thing, it seemed like it happened really quick. I think the Dodgers were sort of we don't know what's wrong with this guy. It's he just says he doesn't feel great, and so maybe they've ramped him up quicker because they think they don't have to be as careful with him. For Snell, yeah, if he's going to face hitters coming up here for the first time, I would say if everything's feeling fine, I think he might be a month away.
Yeah. And I think they're going to slow play it. But you look at the Glasnow.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think they could take a page from the Ohtani stuff and in some of this, if he's only up to let's say 4 innings, we talked about with Glasnow, they might bring him in and say, you're good to go. Let's do it.
See, that would be the only piece I would disagree with, just because I'm looking at the options that they have. Ohtani was a very specific reason, which was they needed his bat in the lineup. But if you're telling me hey, we can start Emmett Sheehan or we can get 2 innings from Blake Snell and figure it out from there, I just don't think the math is ever going to add up for the Dodgers on that one because of the amount of healthy pitchers and options, guys that they maybe feel okay about. It's not hey, do you want Bobby Miller to make a start or do you want 2 innings from Blake Snell followed by 7 bullpen innings? That math might be a little closer than, hey, do you want Wrobleski to start this game or do you want a bullpen game with Blake Snell?
Well, did you say 4? Sorry, I was reading some of the comments. Didn't he say 4 innings?
Yeah, I said 4.
Got it. Okay.
So 4, I agree. I could see a scenario, if they feel like it's 4, especially if you're keeping Wrobleski and especially once Ohtani starts to stretch out. I mean, Kaspari's, I know you guys sort of touched on it earlier. Kaspari's role is going to be interesting to watch as Ohtani gets further into making, kind of more normal starts. What happens with him if Sheehan, continues to pitch well, stays healthy, Wrobleski, all that stuff. So I do sort of agree with, and not to be combative with you, Jeff,
I got lost when he said the Ohtani thing, but I missed the 4 innings, so you're good.
Yeah, I think a 4 inning thing, if they're at 4 innings and they're playing a bunch of games in a row, if Glasnow is ready at that point, sure, get 4 innings from him, pair him with Kaspari's or Wrobleski in one of those games, and then you just go from there.
Blake Treinen injury update through a bullpen session yesterday alongside Blake Snell, so good news there. I mentioned Edgardo Enriquez activated from the 60-day IL and then optioned to AAA, so he is healthy and available, although probably not near the top of the list. And last but not least, Matt, Roki Sasaki, quote, feeling really good, end quote, via Dave Roberts. No next steps, but I just want you to know, Matt, he is feeling really good.
Yeah, the Roki thing has been odd. I mean, there was one day, I don't know if it was a week ago now or 2 weeks ago, but I'm pretty sure it was a Sunday game. Before the game, it was Dodgers were at home. Dave Roberts said, alluded to the fact that it wasn't looking good for Sasaki. Him returning this season was kind of in question. Like he said, I think it's fair to, not count on him, basically. And then the Dodgers played their game, and then Dave is talking post game, and he actually said, wait a minute, he's feeling good, he's pain free, this and that. Brandon Gomes, then the day of Ohtani's first start, which was the 10th, I believe, whatever the Monday was, 10th or 11th, then said that Sasaki is throwing plyo balls, and so, I mean, yeah, but he basically, like, the gist of it, honestly, for the biggest takeaway, just like seriously speaking, and not kind of poking fun at all this, is that he hasn't gotten past playing catch like at low intensity. And so make of that what you will.
I'm just going to make that you didn't say catch play or have a catch. So I'm proud of you for both of those things.
Catch play, I might, just because it's fun, like Dave says it all the time, but I am not, you won't catch me saying have a catch.
Yeah, I think you play catch. That's what you do. What are we doing here? Okay. Dog of the week, real quick. We're bringing the segment back. I have 2 candidates for you, and I'll let we can vote on this as a group. Tanner Scott is one of them. 7 1/3 over the last couple weeks. 5 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. He's on pace for 142 appearances for the Dodgers this year, which I believe would be a record in Major League Baseball. I'm just kidding. But he is tied for 3rd in all of Major League Baseball in appearances, which is great in June for our relief pitcher, but neither here nor there. Not relevant to the Dog of the Week conversation. The other surprise nominee here, and I say surprise because I was surprised to see this gentleman's name in contention. But let's have a conversation briefly about Michael Kopech. 4 2/3, no runs, 2 hits, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts for the big dude. I think Tanner Scott is probably like a -400 favorite in this competition, Anthony. But I think Kopech deserves at least mentioning here. Is there any argument from your perspective for Michael Kopech, or is Tanner Scott the runaway winner of Dog of the Week?
I think what Tanner Scott has done is highly impressive. He's turning into that dominant guy. And to talk about appearances, the last 2 years, he's at like 72 last season, 74 the year before that.
Well, the Padres knew they didn't have to go deep into the postseason, so they could use him a little bit more.
So I don't think he's too far ahead of that pace, given where we're at in the schedule. But I do think they'll probably slow him down later on, and probably in September. As for Kopech, like that he absolutely deserves discussion here and at least a mention, because it feels like he's done it quietly also, like just kind of hanging around under the radar and starting to look better and better.
Yeah, there you go. Matt, anything here? Kopech versus Scott?
No, nothing. I have seen I saw some rumblings on social media of this being a curse, and Alleluia is also saying that you like to curse players with your Dog of the Week. So in that spirit, I'm going to leave that segment to you guys. I don't want to get blamed for any of this.
Just for context here, one person projected Jack Dreyer to be awesome this year, and I believe Kasperius was the initial Dog of the Week. I could be wrong. I think he was the initial. Dreyer has gotten love in this conversation. Kasperius, and I mean, Vessia's probably been nominated a couple times. Tanner Scott, when Tanner Scott's here, folks, this is nonsense. Tanner Scott, congratulations. But seriously, no more 3 and 4 days from Tanner Scott. We're playing the long game with literally every other position on the roster. He's on pace for like 80 appearances this year. Nonsense.
That was, I think, at least his second time doing it this season, maybe even 3 times. I tried to look up quickly as he entered. I was putting the recap together to kind of reference it. And I saw at least one other stretch before this last one where he had done it. But Dave did say that they are gonna be mindful of his workload. So as Anthony mentioned, like they probably are gonna start to.
I think part of it too is that, like, making sure he's in his groove, he's feeling good. Because he was having those struggles early, so they wanted to get him right. And then once they got him right, give him some time and like some usage there to say, like, yes, this is real. This is who he is again. But I think they pull the reins. Probably, I would say probably like in August, they start to hold it back a little bit.
And there's been injuries too.
Yeah.
Like if Treinen's around, he's probably not pitching this much. If Kopech had been around all year and not necessarily working through some early rust, like Tanner Scott probably isn't pitching as much. So, and Kirby Yates, like getting him back on track after his IL stint.
I just don't want to see any Dodger pitchers in like the top usage. And right now, Vesia and Tanner Scott are tied for third most appearances in Major League Baseball. So,
buddy, have you been around the past few years? Like,
I know Luis Garcia, you want to run that man into the ground, knock yourself out, but not Tanner Scott, please. Okay, odds and ends. Let's do it real quick. Matt, your boy, Austin Barnes. Which of these three sentences that I'm about to say is the most offensive to you? Number one, he signed with the Giants. Number two, he signed a minor league deal. Number three, he was optioned to the complex league. Which of those three sentences are you most hurt by?
I want to say complex league, but I can justify it from the standpoint of like he was released by the Dodgers like a month ago, so he hasn't really been doing anything. The minor league deal did surprise. Like, in all seriousness, like when we've discussed Austin Barnes, whether like on these shows or in text or whatever the case is, like I assumed there was going to be some team out there that was going to sign him for the rest of the year. So I'm surprised it took this long. A little surprised then at that point it ended up being a minor league deal. But I mean, I guess maybe that's just the way the sport is sort of going. It's the opposite of basketball, where these random bench guys are getting paid 3 times worth what they were making last year with these new contracts and stuff. So it's just interesting to see how things go.
Anthony, the fact that it's taken this long and that all he signs is a minor league deal, do you think that this is like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge? Hey, you're going to be up with the major league team, but we just need to like get you right for a few weeks before you come up there. They do have 3 catchers on the 40-man roster already, one of whom's on the 60-day IL. Bailey Kinzer. I always forget how they pronounce that one guy's name. There's a lot of K's and N's mixed in there. And Tom Murphy's on the 60-day. So do you think this is a major league deal that's just a wink, wink, nudge, nudge, or do you think this is all that was available to him?
I think it's possible that it is. And then to Matt's point about sending him to the complex, probably just, get yourself in get yourself in some shape and, get used to kind of how we might be doing things at the big league level here. And then you can come up. I also think that he probably did have people reaching out, Matt. I think there probably was some offers, but maybe this was the only one, or the one that he liked best, or it might have been the wink, wink, like we'll call you up once we feel like you're ready. After
I know the next question is going to be is how many times are the Dodgers and Giants playing each other the rest of the season? I am here with the answers because I wrote the article before hopping on. There's 10 more games, so right before the All-Star break, and then 2 more, I believe, in September. 2 other series in September.
Who do I need to pay to get Austin Barnes into the San Francisco Giants lineup for all 10 of those games? Where do I make my donation? Although I will say, looking at the Giants catching situation right now, Patrick Bailey is hitting 194 with a 549 OPS. So Austin Barnes will at least make those numbers look good. So they've got that going for them down in San Francisco. I mean, it's crazy. San Francisco Giants minor league deal option to the complex. I was like, this stuff just writes itself. But, so are you okay, Matt? I mean, honestly, you're the guy. This is your fan club. Are you going to be okay with Barnes in the black and orange complex league uniform?
He got a job again. He's not unemployed, as some people have put it.
To be truthful, like that's the people that are like, I can't believe this guy would ever sign with the Giants. It's like, you know what? Like if that was the job that was offered to him, you will never hear me say a bad word about a guy like going and being able to continue to play baseball and continue to cash checks. Like if this is his one option to get back on a major league team and make a minimum salary of like $1 million, then I'm not going to say that he should have some like high ground morality of like, I'll never play for the Giants. Like that's my 2 cents. People are going to hate that and disagree, but good for him getting a job. I'm fascinated to see how this plays out. I want to believe that it's wink, wink. You're going to be up at the major league level soon. And that the reason he waited this long was his own choice and he wanted a break and he wanted a reset and now he's ready to go. But man, there's at least part of me that's starting to think that just the end of the road is here and nobody else saw it coming. Okay. We got a couple more super chats, couple questions. We'll get out of here. Carlos, Jeff, Matt, Ant, who does Kershaw strike out for 3,000th strikeout? We're hoping it's the White Sox on Wednesday. By the way, if you missed the announcement, as usual, Anthony and I will be live on Tuesday. As usual, Bruce and I will be live on Thursday. We are having a special edition Wednesday night, assuming Kershaw gets 3 strikeouts on Wednesday, with myself and Daniel Starkin, pending no crazy Lakers news that day. So we will be here on Wednesday. The Daniel part is pending no Lakers news, but we will be here on Wednesday for that Kershaw day. So either of you, I mean, the easy one here is I'm trying to figure out Chicago White Sox. Here we go. Starting lineups. So today's starting lineup, golly, I don't know who half of these guys are. I love it. Miguel Vargas. Anyone want to guess where in the White Sox lineup he's batting?
Second.
Anthony?
Fourth.
Clean up, baby. Clean up, man. Miguel Vargas. Let's see. We got Tauschman, Medroth. I don't know. He was on my fantasy team at one point. Benintendi, Vargas, Teal, Sosa, Ryan Noda, another former Dodger, Michael Taylor, and Rojas. Those are your options. That was today's lineup. Some other guys we had mixed in: Austin Slater, former Giant, Cuero, looks like to be the other catcher, and Capra, shortstop. So those are some names of guys that have started for the White Sox the last 2 days. Matt, I'll come to you first. Who does Kershaw strike out for number 3,000? You want to just go the third guy, Benintendi, batting third, just 3 strikeouts to start the game?
So I'm not sure if he'd be in the lineup, but that could be an option. I'm just going to stay with Miguel Vargas. One, because I said it as a joke once I realized that
the only
Kershaw,
guy I know.
And yes, and two, it's pretty much the only player that I know from the White Sox, so kind of by default. And I know we're not alone in that one. There's a lot of Vargas comments here.
Anthony, who are you going with? You're going with Vargas too?
No, I won't go with Vargas. I'll go with who's their seventh hitter? Who was their seventh hitter today?
Where we go? Ryan Noda.
I think it's going to be Ryan Noda. I'm going to go 7th spot in the order. I think that feels good for his third strikeout.
Lefty. You got that. No, it's going to be Kyle Teal. I think his first name's Kyle, because Kyle Teal has been famous for a Dodger interaction this season.
I was going to ask if their prospect was up.
Kyle Teal is the guy who hit the home run off Roki Sasaki on the backfields, his first appearance. And we tweeted out, Roki Sasaki just gave a home run, and it was to Teal, who's a very good prospect. So that's going to be it. It's going to come full circle. Kershaw's going to have his guy Sasaki's back, and he's going to throw him a nasty. It has to be on the curveball, right? Please, for the love, if we could script this, it's got to be a curveball. I want a guy staring, knee-buckling curveball.
It's going to end up being a drop strike 3, and then they got to throw it down to first base to finish it off, like completely anticlimactic.
We'll see. Jedi Engineer, my dog of the week are the 12 dogs keeping watch over Good Boy Gilbert in Minnesota. I'm not entirely sure what's going on here. Any context? Anthony, you got anything here?
I saw that earlier. I don't know.
Sorry. There's
Star Wars reference, and that's what I'm going with.
Yeah, could be. Sorry, Jedi Engineer. There's probably a joke in there, and I'm not tracking. We'll see if anybody can fill us in. Okay. Let's see. We got a couple. Here we go. TQT wants to know, what new stuff did Blake say about Mookie Betts? Blake's view of Mookie Betts is declining. The initial video was like, he's just wading into the pool, and I respect this. The first video was like sort of crapping on Mookie Betts, but then saying, no, he's still a top 20 to 25 hitter. Well, he's moved off of that. Now Mookie Betts is like a 110 to 115 weighted runs created plus guy. So that's where Blake is at on Mookie Betts, which I don't think is a hot take, to be fair. But yeah. Okay, let's see. JP wants to know, I can't comprehend how playing Conforto over Kim makes any sense. Has no trade value, ain't coming back. Why hold back Kim's growth? Kim brings a dynamic that bottom of the lineup lacks. Buddy, did you see the back-to-back dingers that Conforto hit the other night? We're back, baby. Come on. Hour 40 mark of this pod, and we're just getting to the positive Conforto. Guy had back-to-back homers. Matt, how many other guys hit home runs in back-to-back games for the Dodgers in the last few days? Anybody? None.
No.
I don't think so. Michael freaking Conforto. So take that. John wants to know, I'm assuming for Wednesday, do I keep 4 section Loge 155 tickets bought at face value or sell them for $500 a piece? Thoughts? This is a tough spot to be in. Anthony, I'm going to come to you because you're the guy that's buying tickets for Dodgers games yourself. Yeah. If you had a hold of some Kershaw potential 3,000 strikeout day tickets, and you could get, I'm assuming face value of these is like what, 1 to 120 a pop, maybe.
Right.
Assuming you could make 4x your money at $500 a piece, are you interested in that transaction, Anthony?
I would want to go to this game.
Yeah, I think so too. I told people, I looked on Ticketmaster and I looked at flights. Like I wasn't going to, it ended up being too expensive. So there was a number, but yeah, I would want to be there. Matt, what about you?
I would want to be there, but I would sell 2 of these.
There you go. Yeah, pick the 2 people that are. You're still going. Hell, sell 3.
Yeah.
Sorry, babe.
Yeah,
You're not
that's
coming to
fine.
this game.
That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, look, I know Anthony's going solo to this game in this situation. That's fine. Like, let's go.
Yeah, totally.
Hell yeah. That's actually I don't know why I didn't think about that. Everybody is not going except for me. Maybe you want a second ticket because you want to have somebody to have that moment with. But yeah, like I've got kids. Like my kids are not. If I can get 500 a ticket, my kids are not coming to that game.
Right.
No chance. No chance. Okay. Jedi says Gilbert is the name of the dog who passed away from injury when the Minnesota congressperson was killed. There you go. Shout out to Gilbert.
I sort of worried that maybe it was going to be just because the Minnesota reference. Yeah, it's terrible.
Okay. Shout out to dogs. Dogs are the best. Okay. Let's see. I think we got maybe 2 food questions and then we'll get out of here. Cole wants to know, what are the best frozen fries to make at home? Steak, crinkle cut, curly, or are you boys tater tot fans? Preferred cooking method. The last part. What's that? Go for it.
I'll go first. I don't make a lot of fries. Like I don't do a lot of homemade fries, but I would say of these options, tater tots in the air fryer.
Okay. It has to be air fryer. Like if any option other than air fryer is going to be the wrong one. That's just where I'm starting from. But Matt, you're not an air fryer guy, I don't think, right?
Not really. I'm completely out on frozen fries at home. I think air fryer, like it doesn't matter. They're just not good, and so it's not worth like just go get fries from somewhere. So I would rather just not like I just won't even eat them to avoid the letdown.
Napoleon, give me some tots.
There you go. Tater tots are great, but I don't like frozen tater tots. Never come out well. I would go, if these were my options, I would go steak or crinkle cut because it needs to be something that's thin in order to like cook on the outside and not be basically cold on the inside. But air fryer 1,000% of the way. Iris wants to know, are you all dog people? Dogs are the best. I am definitely a dog person. My dog Bear is usually around, but I was going to see if I had a picture, but I don't think I do. So yeah, I've got a dog. Matt, you're not a dog, or you don't have a dog, do you? Oh, you do have a dog.
I do have a dog. Yeah,
that's right.
Blake is the only not. Well, I guess I don't know 100% about Anthony, but I know
Anthony,
Blake.
Are you a dog guy?
We don't have a dog, but I like dogs. I don't have a problem with dogs. Some of the stuff people do with their dogs, I might have an issue with, but that's more of an owner thing, not the dog.
Fair. I like how he said, I don't mind dogs. Matt, did you catch that? Like, I think Anthony just told us a lot of how he feels about dogs with the, I don't mind dogs.
He's still ahead of Blake, who's noted cat over dogs person.
Although he has a dog.
Yes, he does have a dog as well. And he has a cat, maybe 2 cats. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're right. David wants to know, no lamplighter this week, closed for the 4th. What should I do? Hang at a friend's house or go to another Italian restaurant for cocktails and appetizers? I mean, if we're going like Matt Moreno thinking on that tickets question, like David, why are we choosing between these 2 things? This sounds like an early happy hour for cocktails and appetizers, and then cruising to your friend's house for some meatballs and whatever else they got going on afterwards. So,
Paisan, I'm telling you, if the spreads at your friends' houses look like the spread that you tweeted at us today, go there, dude.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Free drinks, good food. There you go.
Matt, you got any 4th of July food opinions? I asked Bruce this the other day. Oh, I didn't ask Anthony this. Hot dog or hamburger when you go to a 4th of July barbecue?
Why not both?
That was my answer. Matt, do you have an answer to this question?
I mean, I'm going like 2 cheeseburgers before I touch a hot dog.
Now, are you going 2 separate cheeseburgers or double cheeseburger?
Probably separate.
Okay. I like that. Takes up a lot of real estate on the plate, but yeah, I'm with Anthony. I'm like, well, I don't have to choose, I suppose, in this one.
Yeah, I'm not having just one plate, bud.
What are you putting on your hot dog? This was another question. Anthony.
If they got some chili, throw some chili on there.
Okay. No chili. Cheese. We're just talking traditional 4th of July condiment situation.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do
like I think Dodger Dog or Costco like topping options.
Sure. That's fair. Probably I'll do ketchup, mustard, some hot sauce if they got it.
Okay.
I don't everybody knows I don't do onions, so I wouldn't do onions.
Yeah. See, I need onions a little. I said ketchup, mustard, and onions. That would be my move. Matt, what are you throwing? Anything on there?
I'll do ketchup, definitely not onions. I would actually prefer like a hot link instead of a hot dog. I think that would change my answer.
Okay.
But yeah, no onions, not a big mustard guy.
I can't speak to this one. I'm going to defer to the other 2 gentlemen in this one. Mayo on a bacon wrapped hot dog is a Mexican treat. Anthony's nodding his head.
Yeah, I don't really do mayonnaise, but that is a staple condiment for the bacon wrapped hot dogs.
Okay. This is another, I feel like I just keep digging myself a hole, and I don't think this is a me thing when it comes to prices on this type of thing. But if you walk out of a sports stadium and you see the guys that are cooking the bacon wrapped hot dogs, what are you expecting? Like, I'm going to not start with my number. I want to hear you all say your numbers out loud first. What's like the range of dollars that you're expecting to pay for a bacon wrapped hot dog off of a cart right outside of a sports stadium?
Probably $5-6.
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel like now it would be anywhere from like $5 to $8.
$10. I went to one. They were $10.
Ooh, where was that?
Right outside of the soccer stadium in Portland. I was so hungry. I was going to grab a drink with a friend. I hadn't eaten in like 3 hours. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do this. And they were like, yeah, it's $10. I'm like,
you leave,
the person behind me laughed.
That's a bit
the person
steep.
behind me made a noise.
You leave like a Lakers game. You leave a Lakers game. You leave a Giants game at Oracle. Like, there's way too much competition out there for them to be charging $10. There's like 50 carts.
Crazy. So there you go. I feel like I had another price thing I was going to ask you about, and I just need to stop. I just need to keep these things to myself. But I did go back to the scene of the crime and did not get a muffin. But it was like $5.50 for a cold
Jeff is constantly getting ripped off. Iris, we have had this conversation with Jeff. We agree with you.
Yeah. Blake tells me I need to get out a little bit more. So there you go. Rich white boy luck. There you go. Nacho cheese on a hot dog.
I've had it. It's fine.
Yeah, that's good.
Not mad at that.
Okay. Not mad. Yeah. Costco hot dog and soda, best deal in the world. I'm with you. I don't even drink the soda. It's still a great deal.
By far.
There you go. They get free. You know what? You know what you can get with your soda cup, boys? Lemonade. So no extra charge at Costco. Shout out to Costco and American Treasure. All right, folks.
Until real quick, Costco's going to catch wind that you paid the $6 for the lemonade, and they're going to realize there's people out there that are willing to do it. So let's change our approach. And then, Jeff, you're going to be responsible for lemonade being an extra charge at Costco from here on out.
Since I don't hate cheese, Elishiva wants to know what type of cheese I put on my hamburger. And this is entirely related to what else is available to put on top of my hamburger. My favorite, like if I go to a place that makes burgers, like my go-to tends to be the bacon blue cheese type burger. Love that. Love that combo. But if we're not doing like the bacon, if we're just doing like lettuce, tomato, the normal setup, then I'm probably a pepper jack cheese guy. So blue cheese and pepper jack, I don't discriminate. I'll throw American cheese. I'll throw cheddar cheese. There's pretty much nothing that I won't put cheese-wise on top of a burger. So
that's fair. I'm with that. Yeah.
So what would be your top choice, Anthony?
If I'm doing like some jalapenos on it, that kind of thing, then pepper jack.
Okay.
I mean, American, maybe if I'm not doing something like that. Like I'm with you. Like I'm not discriminating. Put all the cheeses you have on it. I'm fine.
Yeah, exactly. I'm with you. Yeah, Matt.
Probably cheddar. I feel like that's easiest. Right. I do like blue cheese, so if I'm in the mood for that, then that's good. I think also what's underrated is bacon with Swiss cheese.
It's great. Yeah, little grilled onion deal going on there.
Well, I'll pass on that.
Oh my gosh, grilled onions. I did figure out grilled onions. Hot dog was the one answer to where I probably prefer raw onions to grilled onions only on a hot dog, just because I like the crunch of the raw onion with the hot dog. I love the taste of grilled onions though. But Anthony, you're okay with grilled onions, right? Or you're out altogether?
I don't eat onions.
You're just out. Onions and avocados for the man down.
No, I never said that.
Didn't you say you don't like avocados?
I didn't say. I just said that they don't do it for me. Like if there's avocado on something, like I'll eat it. It doesn't make anything better for me. Like that's just me personally. It doesn't make anything better. I'm not opposed to eating it on something. It's fine. I don't do onions and I don't do mayonnaise.
I was going to say. Go ahead. Matt, go for it.
Anthony avoids the extra $5.95 charge at Chipotle when he
trust me. I choose between meat or veggie with guacamole. That's what I'm staring down. I'm never the meat with guacamole. I'm too cheap for that, which has become obvious. Matt, to Anthony's point, olives are the one food that I'm not interested in. I'll pick olives for whatever reason. I can't eat them. That's the one thing I will pick off of pizza. Anything else I can deal with pretty much. I mean, not sardines and stuff crazy, but is there any food for you that's just on like the do not touch list?
Sushi.
Okay. Yeah.
Won't touch it.
All right. Yeah.
Will you eat fish cooked?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll eat grilled shrimp and stuff like that. But sushi, no, not doing it.
It was a great day when Blake said he loved sushi on the show, and then Scott was like, "Buddy, he's talking about California rolls." it's like avocado. He likes avocado rolls. That's when he says he loves sushi. It's like avocado rolls. It's fantastic. We all got our things. So, all right, almost 2 hours in. We appreciate you. It's been a fun show, Matt. Thanks for hopping on with us. Good to have
it was
you.
fun. I was glad to do it. I know it's been a busy stretch with the Dodgers playing at home a bunch. I figured it was an early game, off day tomorrow. Let me come and join and talk some baseball, and of course a little food at the end with you guys.
Always. That is Matt. That is Anthony. I am Jeff. As I mentioned, go check out DodgerBlue.com. Crushing it on the content. We mentioned the injury updates. We mentioned all the news and the roster moves that the Dodgers have been making. Matt and the guys over at DodgerBlue.com. Same family. We're all on the same team, but Matt's writing stuff. Sebastian's writing stuff. Blake is writing stuff. They're crushing it over there. If you're new here, please subscribe. As you've heard, we're making a push towards 100,000. We are getting closer and closer. We've got a huge giveaway that we're going to be doing once we get there. So stay tuned, but we got to get there first. We're getting closer. So thank you. Tell your friends, spread the word. Come join us live every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday night. Again, bonus this week, Wednesday night as well. So enjoy the rest of your night, everyone. As always, go Dodgers. And yes, still champs.